Alright folks, welcome to Wordplay, a fun way to learn new words. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you how to create a mnemonic. For those of you who do not know, mnemonics are essentially memory aids that help you learn new words quickly and more efficiently. Now, mnemonics are not just restricted to word learning. You can use it to memorize almost anything. But since this channel is about English learning and vocabulary building, I'm going to teach you how to apply this method to accelerate your vocabulary building. If you haven't seen my video on how to use mnemonic devices to quickly improve your vocabulary, you can just check out this video. I've mentioned it in the link below. Now, if you've seen my previous video on how to use mnemonic devices to improve your vocabulary, you know that I use a link word to connect the original word to its meaning so that I can recall the word very quickly and easily. Now, here are a few rules that one should consider while creating a mnemonic. Very simple rules, but very important to consider. So, rule number one is one should almost always strive to create a rhyming word. For example, consider the word sapphire. Now, for this, an obvious mnemonic would be sapphire, which is a gemstone, and it rhymes completely with the word sapphire. So creating a rhyming word is essentially important because when you hear the word sapphire, sapphire is more likely to come into your mind than any other word because it rhymes with this word. The important thing is to remember the word, and whatever technique works best for you, you can use it. But for most people, creating a rhyming word is most easy and helps one remember the word for longer. Another important thing to consider is that you should use the whole word when you are creating a mnemonic, right? For example, one could argue that for this word sapphire, one could use fire as a mnemonic. However, fire is not a good mnemonic for the word sapphire because it leaves the Z sound from the word sapphire, and sapphire actually covers the whole word sapphire and hence is a better mnemonic to consider. After you have created a mnemonic of the word, you have to associate it with the meaning of the word. So now I have to create a story to link the words sapphire and sapphire together. Now you can be as creative as possible in creating the story, and there are also a few rules to consider while creating the story, which will just make it all the more easier, right? So the story I have created is as simple as whenever I point my sapphire ring towards the sky, I can feel a sapphire over my face. So sapphire means a soft, gentle breeze. So you can imagine yourself wearing a Captain Planet ring and you're pointing your ring towards the sky, shouting sapphire, and all of a sudden a soft, gentle breeze is flowing all over your face, all over your body, whatever feels good to you. So you have to be as imaginative as possible. You need to have a vivid imagination for this, because the vividly you imagine, the longer you're going to remember it. As simple as that. A very important point to consider while creating a story is, you notice that I have used the word I have used it deliberately because whenever you personalize a sentence, you kind of own it and you're likely to remember it for long. So I've used it whenever I point my sapphire ring towards the sky, I can feel a sapphire over my face. So my suggestion is to involve yourself as much as possible into their story building. It must be emotion evoking. So some sort of emotion must arise whenever you are imagining the stories. Another point is that you have to make it as ridiculous and exaggerated as possible. It does not have to have a link with reality. You have to be as imaginative as possible. You can be as creative as possible in the story building, and it doesn't have to make sense, right? Remember that the purpose of creating a mnemonic is only to remember the word. It is only a memory aid, and you should use it only for that purpose, right? So let go of all logic and just go crazy over your story. Make it as ridiculous as possible. You have to imagine as vividly as possible. Involve yourself as much as possible. The last and the final rule is that you should never use the past tense of the word as a mnemonic. For instance, consider the word felon, which means to commit a crime. So fell on is not a good mnemonic for the word felon. because it makes it difficult to connect it to the word, right? It is always better to separate tenses from the art of mnemonic creation. So a simpler and easier mnemonic to create is melon. So you can imagine a bunch of criminals throwing watermelons on each other inside the jail, and they're all felons. Felons throwing melons at each other. How simple is that? Now you're never going to forget this word, and it hardly took you a few seconds to create the mnemonic, right? So one point, it would not always be as easy as melon to create a mnemonic, because for some of the words you would have to think hard to create a mnemonic. But once you come up with a good mnemonic, you know that you're going to remember it for a much longer duration of time than if you were to only rely upon repetition as a source of your learning. So that's it. That's how you create a mnemonic and improve your vocabulary building. I use the mnemonic technique all the time to remember names, places, and especially vocabulary. And let me know what you think of this method and how you're using this method. So thank you, and subscribe to this channel if this video helped you in any way.